we now come to everybody's favourite Star Wars movie, The Empire Strikes Back. But do I agree? Holy crap, yes! Glad you agree, Harry. Also, I am your father. What? Nah, just got you there. Oh, thank God. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, this time not directed by George Lucas, but by Ivan Kershner, and, of course, is the second Star Wars film to be made, but the fifth chapter in the 7-part saga so far, and now, this is universally considered by Star Wars fans, critics and audiences universally agree that this is the best Star Wars film. That's right, even better than A New Hope. And considered probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, sequels ever made. And Empire magazine even held it as #1 on their greatest movies of all time list. So is it my personal favourite Star Wars film? Well, I wouldn't go quite that far, but absolutely it deserves the praise it gets. The Empire Strikes Back is a fucking masterpiece. It is not just a perfect Star Wars movie, it's perfect cinema. Thank God A New Hope was a success and George Lucas wanted Star Wars to be a 6-part saga, otherwise this film would not exist. So just think of that. And George Lucas seems to hate Empire Strikes Back because this was the one of the ones he worked on, oddly enough, that he had the least involvement in, which is why it's considered by fans to be the best. They hail it the best because, thank God, it doesn't have any of George Lucas's cringy dialogue or his terrible direction or his CGI creatures getting in the way of the background. This definitely feels the least George Lucas-y of the original 6 Star Wars films, and the film takes place 3 years after A New Hope. The Death Star's been destroyed, and boy, are the Empire pissed the fuck off. They are determined to destroy the rebellion for this. And hence the title of the movie. The Empire are literally striking back throughout not just in the opening, throughout the entire film. The rebellion seem doomed. Our heroes just lose throughout the course of this film. The stakes. This has the highest stakes of the original trilogy. It is the darkest, and the film certainly has one of the best Star Wars openings, the epic Battle of Hoth. It starts out with Luke riding on his tauntaun, and he gets captured by a predator known as a Wampa. He's hanging down, he can't reach his lightsaber, so in an awesome moment he reaches out with the Force, grabs his lightsaber and just chops the Wampa's arm clean off, which was freaking awesome. It's just writing like that makes this movie so enjoyable. And Ghost Obi-Wan informs Luke to go to the Dagobah system and begin his training of the last surviving Jedi Master, Yoda. And Han is much more likeable in this film. He has really grown from the selfish prick who only cared about money from A New Hope to a kind-hearted hero. And he even risked his own life to save Luke by going out in that storm, and he places Luke inside the body of the tauntaun. But what I don't get is, why the moment when Luke and Leia kiss, when we find out that Luke and Leia are brother and sister, I'm sure many fans were vomiting after that. They were like, what the fuck, George Lucas, why'd you put incest in Star Wars? But I'm glad George Lucas didn't make Luke and Leia love interests. I'm glad he made them brother and sister. That is an original idea. Unfortunately for Rebels, the Empire do eventually find them, and they send down walkers to basically blow the shit out of that rebel base. And we get one of Star Wars' greatest battles, the Battle of Hoth. It's such an magnificent way to open the movie that throws us right into the action and shows how much more powerful the Empire are this time. Again, it's all done with such brilliant practical effects. Those walkers still hold up even today, and apparently Norway was one of the hardest locations they had to shoot the Star Wars movies, so I applaud the production team for being able to pull it off. And throughout the entire course of the film, the Empire feels not just a formidable threat in the Battle of Hoth as they completely crush the rebellion there, but they feel like a formidable threat throughout the entire film. Much more so than they were in A New Hope. This definitely feels more like a war movie, as this is the first time we hear Darth Vader's own personal theme, that Imperial March, dun 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 dun, dun, and you really feel scared for Han, Leia, 3PO, R2 and Chewbacca as they're trying to escape the Empire throughout most of the middle of the film in the Millennium Falcon, and when they fly into an asteroid fleet, that creates so much tension as well. This film is genius at building tension, but the guy who steals the entire show in this film is Darth Vader. He truly proves himself as one of cinema's greatest villains here, as he is determined to find Luke, turn into the dark side, and crush the Rebel Alliance, and nothing will stand in his way. And James L. Jones, still phenomenal in the role. He will even go as far as killing his own men just for victory. If you fail him, you die. So Luke goes off to Dagobah to begin his Jedi training, and Luke is has much grown as a character this time, as he knows a bit more about the Force, and he's much more powerful here. And more wiser, especially as he's learning more and building his journey to become the legendary Jedi we all know him to be. And this was the first time we ever saw Yoda, one of Star Wars' best characters. At first, we just think of him as this creature on Dagobah, but it turns out when Luke loses patience, Yoda finally reveals himself when he's like, "I cannot train him. He has no patience." And that was a brilliant revelation. They didn't just reveal him straight away. They kept us in suspense. And Dagobah is a beautiful, awesome, so realistic set. It looks like a living, breathing swamp. This is back when they didn't need CGI, and Puppet Yoda is outstanding and brilliantly brought to life by legendary puppeteer Frank Oz. Yeah, many will say he looks better than CGI Yoda in the prequels, and Yoda's advice is so awesome. I took a lot of Yoda's advice myself when he's like, "Do or do not. There is no try." When Luke goes into the Nightmare Cave and sees a vision of Darth Vader, he cuts off Vader's head, and you see Luke's head inside the helmet, and audiences must have gasped at that moment. They must have been like, where is this leading? I had no idea this movie would be this good. And we get our first look of the true antagonist of this trilogy, the Emperor, played by Ian McDermott, and it's only a brief glimpse, but it's an awesome glimpse and brilliantly hints of what's to come in Return of the Jedi. Vader and the Emperor now know of Luke's presence. They've sensed him in the Force, and they know they have to turn into the dark side in order to defeat the rebellion. The moment the Emperor showed up, the audience must have been completely gripped at this point. They must have been like, Vader actually has a master. He's not the main villain anymore. Wow, Star Wars is just way more than a simplistic space opera franchise. I cannot wait to see where this is going. So Vader hires some bounty hunters to track down the Millennium Falcon, particularly Boba Fett, one of the most beloved Star Wars characters ever, even though he barely says or does anything. He has a great design. While on the Millennium Falcon, while they're stuck in the asteroid fleet or the belly of a space worm, that was ingenious writing, by the way. Han and Leia, they have feelings for each other. Although Han and Leia hated each other in A New Hope, they are finally seeing the good in each other. Leia is particularly seeing the good man in Han, which she didn't see before, and it's a great, powerful romance. It's much less boring than Padme and Anakin's romance in halfway through the prequel. And Leia is a better character here than she was in A New Hope. In A New Hope, although she was the damsel in distress who had to be saved, she never complained about that, and was still badass, but here she is even more of a badass. She is a general in the rebellion and does not take shit from any man. And I just wish there were more strong female characters in the original trilogy like her, because she's really the only one. And then they go to Cloud City. The film's just jaw-droppingly phenomenal climax where they meet another smuggler and lifelong friend of Han, Lando Calrissian, and he's awesome. There are now two awesome smugglers in this movie. It just gets better and better, and so funny how he's flirting with Leia, much to Han's jealousy. But Lando, there's much more to Lando than we think. In a very shocking twist, he betrays them to Darth Vader just to save his own skin, and actually lets Han be frozen in carbonite. So, well, Vader decides to freeze Han in carbonite before he freezes Luke to bring him to the Emperor. And we get one of the most powerful lines in all of Star Wars as Han and Leia say goodbye, when they're like, "I love you, I know," because Harrison Ford at the time originally wanted Han Solo to be killed off in Empire Strikes Back, but of course George Lucas disagreed and believed Han was too important to kill off, which is why he was still alive in Return of the Jedi. But Harrison Ford did get his wish in Episode 7, spoiler alert, but I'll talk about that in Force Awakens review. So the film's brilliant cliffhanger begins as Han is taken aboard Boba Fett's ship and taken to Jabba the Hutt, and Lando, Leia, and Chewie and 3PO, who has sadly been torn to pieces. Shows how dark this movie is. It's willing to tear apart C-3PO. Sorry, kids. And so they all escape in the Millennium Falcon, and Luke senses through the Force that his friends are in danger. So against Yoda's advice, he defies Yoda and goes to Cloud City to rescue them. Even though Obi-Wan believes that Luke is their last hope, Yoda is like, "No, there is another," which obviously means Leia is the other hope if Luke does fail, because she's Force sensitive and can be trained as a Jedi as well. And when Luke gets to Crown City, thus begins one of the greatest lightsaber duels in the Star Wars trilogy, and many would consider the best. The confrontation between Luke and Darth Vader, the confrontation we've all been waiting for, that's been built up, and we finally get to see it, and it is fucking awesome. It is so much better than the lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader that we got in A New Hope. It's so much longer, there's so much grander, it's so much more epic and engaging, and seeing Luke just try his hardest, although Vader is just so much more stronger. Just Luke was very foolish to skip his training. He just isn't ready, and Vader gets dangerous towards the end. He really unleashes everything he has at Luke and just swipes his arm off. And if that wasn't enough, he then reveals to Luke cinema's greatest twist.
No, I am your father.
That even caught me off guard when I first found that out. How many other stories have had the villain be the protagonist's father? And that completely changes the course of the story. It puts so many unanswered questions in our heads that we can't wait to find out, because even in the days without any internet, people still spoiled things about movies. And if there was a guy that came up to you, "Oh, have you seen Star Wars? Did you know Darth Vader's Luke's dad?" You hadn't seen the movie, you must have been like, "What the fuck?" I know you wouldn't have believed it until you've seen it, but yeah, so Darth Vader offers Luke to join him, but Luke, he completely refuses. He just jumps off the edge. He would rather die than turn to the dark side, and when he's hanging on for dear life on the bottom of Cloud City, but luckily for him, Leia Force communicates with him and brings him to safety. But the ending of The Empire Strikes Back, it is still one of cinema's greatest cliffhangers, because it's actually not afraid to have a dark ending. It sets up Return of the Jedi perfectly, and There's so much despair. You're thinking, is there any hope left? But Luke must have been thinking, if Darth Vader's my dad, who's my mum? Why didn't he ask about his mother? Oh well, anyway, so Empire Strikes Back, it's a masterpiece, better than A New Hope in every way. People weren't expecting much at the time, just a Star Wars sequels, but this was the movie that proved that sequels sometimes can be better.
I give The Empire Strikes Back
5 stars out of 5. Well, I love you guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for my Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, and then Rogue One review. And what do you think of Empire Strikes Back? Comment, let me know if you like this video, and subscribe if you sponsor us and on Google+. And I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.